Hello and welcome to the Wedding Chats. Today we're excited to have one of Uganda's most sought after wedding MCs, Andrew Kyamagero. Andrew brings a vibe to events. I've been to many of his events and the vibe is always great. So today we thought we would sit him down and have a conversation with him about weddings, MCing. We want to know, does he only do weddings, does he do other events? Andrew, welcome to the show.
Well, it's an honor to be here to share the experience, the life, and to pass on information to have better MCs, far better than me for the next generation. So I'm humbled to be here, to be exact.
All right.
Yes,
Andrew, to begin with, what is a wedding?
Well, to me, I perceive a wedding as a milestone, as a celebration that is rooted from the childhood. When girls are growing, you see the games they play, wedding day, you see them saying, I wear these, they have some flowers they put on top of their heads, they have a couple of crowns they give, they say, this will be your husband. So from the word go, when a woman is growing to a lady, they think about weddings. So to me, a wedding is the highest milestone of any woman, be it a career woman or not a career woman. So a wedding to me is that sensitive. You cannot mess up someone's milestone with shady executions. So that's why I take weddings to be very sensitive, and I celebrate weddings, but it's more than just celebrating them. It's making someone's vision of their wedding come to life. So my job is to breathe life into their vision.
You breathe life into the vision?
Yes, of their wedding, yes.
What makes a wedding unique?
What makes a wedding unique is the MC. You could have the best decorators, you could have the best cake, you could have the most delicious food and the band and the music, but if the MC is messed up, it will be disaster. So an MC or the master of ceremony, it's imperative that that person understands at what wave do we need to do this, do we need to switch gears, when do I bring in the suspense, when do I bring in the excitement. The problem is that most people take comedians for MCs. It's quite different. A comedian is meant to make you laugh. An MC is meant to guide you on what you're going to do and what's coming up next. In a professional way, that is a little light, but deliberate. And on the flip side of it, it has to be exciting. It shouldn't be so pushy or aggressive, but it's more like having a conversation. So that's what makes a wedding unique. So any wedding with the other factors good, but when the MC is below the belt, it will be messed up. And you've had these stories where someone says, that's where the problem comes in. And the onus is upon us as people to learn to respect the profession of MCs. You see, we think in our church we have brothers or sisters who can be our MCs because you see them in church, they're a little bit flamboyant with their speech and all. MCing a wedding, it's an entirely different craft. The same applies to our family members. There are family members who are good at talking and they can, moderate us when we have family issues. At times people say, I'm not going to pay for an MC. And Chobe gets there and Chobe is one-sided because he knows your family, doesn't care about the other family, so it gets a little bit unbalanced. And at times Chobe has jokes that are unbecoming for the particular audience. So with or without an MC, you need to take caution. And from me where I stand, even my family hires me to be an MC for any event. They pay because they know how much I value my craft.
I hear craft. You mentioned unique.
Yes.
Is there an art to?
Yes, there is an art. I'll give you an example. You cannot say that Omlangiran House is going to be an MC.
Wedding MC.
Yeah, a wedding MC. Even just a thought of it, you're like, right, sure. Like, because in MCing, we choose different parts. Now, me, I chose to be a corporate MC for symposiums, for conferences, and weddings. So my intonation, my talk, my jokes are within that caliber. However, when you go to the likes of Ndausi and the others, they are mass market MCs. So for them, it's like, so when you say it's going to be MC, you're like, okay, how big is it going to be? So that's what makes it unique. And because it's a craft, every Mogole is different. Every wedding is different. Every venue is different. Now, I could be with you at this venue, and we're going to have the wedding here, but when it's another person coming, I must visit the venue again. Possibly they are going to change it. Possibly there are few changes that will come with every wedding. So I treat every wedding, every Mogole uniquely. So I pay more attention to that.
What would you say makes your approach unique to wedding?
Oh, well, my approach is, the first thing is, if I'm to MC your wedding or your milestone, you have to book me 2 months before the wedding. The idea is for me to commit and to check if those dates are not booked. Then secondly is to relate with the couple. Gone are the days where an MC would just come on the D-Day and they start, to mess around. They think because I have MC'd so many weddings, I can MC any wedding. No, it's not like that. It's not like we're all going to just get into a unison and we start to sing Kumbaya. No. I take a month to understand the bride and groom. And then when you book, we start now to have meetings. And those are the coffee or the luncheons we have. The bride and the groom, the idea is to understand them. I come with a very open mind and I'm like, okay, I would like to know what's your wife's strong point, what's your strong point, what's your weakness, where does she plug in to help you about this and that. Now, this gives me enough information to know who I should task for what. If you're a good timekeeper and she comes a bit late, so I know if I want to maintain time, I have to call you to push her to maintain time. If it is something to do with eating, while you're having this luncheon, I realize your appetite is not that driven, but you drink a lot. So I'll start to encourage her. Please remind your husband to eat before the wedding day. It's going to be a long day, so give him a call in the morning, tell him to eat something. So I get to know all that. Now, after we have that meeting, I will demand a meeting with the service providers. These first 2 meetings we have, the bride and the groom, is to understand what she wants to achieve. The wedding is usually about the wife. Men, what we need, a standard world over. We want our boys to drink and eat enough, and we want the music to be good. So once eats and drinks are there, and music, we're covered. But to the women, they go to the detail. Is the floor neat? Is it as white as we need it? Are the petals lilies? Do we have roses? Do we have blue? Like the detail to that particular factor. And you ask them what kind of vibe would they want. They want to be happy. They don't want stress. So now those inform me of what I need to engage. Why I demand to have the service providers from meeting with the bride and groom. This carries the decorator, the cake bakery. It will also call for the DJs, the band, if there is any, the traditional dancers, if there is any. And in this meeting or this mail, I say that please note, whoever is going to appear on the very day of the wedding should be the person to attend the meeting. Why? Is to give them a helicopter view of what the bride and the groom want to achieve. So if we have them in sync and they know what we're going to do, it helps us not to clash on the D-Day. However, In the same meeting, I caution the service providers that there won't be any lunch for them. I know you guys in photography are worried, apart from the photographers. And I'm not saying this because we are recording this, but photography, it's the team that moves with the bride and the groom from morning to the date when it ends in the night. So it's rather humane for them to have lunch, but even the way they're going to have lunch, we come up with a modality that the first four will go while we're still capturing these moments, and then when they're done, the others will go. So you, the band, the DJ, the MC, the drum actors, the Nanka Sabak Simba, the traditional dancers, come when you've already had your meals. Because you were hired for a service. And I'll tell you for a fact why I do this. At times we take weddings for granted, but we don't want the bride and the groom to be indicted after the wedding. And this is how the dates come through. One, the traditional dancers will come when they're 25. The DJ will come with 4 people. The decorator, because we used a very huge kind of hall or a big tent, or a big location, she'll have around 15 people or 10, but above 5. We'll then have the cake person. The cake person will leave like 4 people. And at the end of the day, we have the kanyamas at the entrance, and they're very stringent with their invitation cards. But still, they're saying the numbers are surging. We planned for 200, but we have 302. Where is the 102 coming from? These service providers. So to make sure that my Mogole is not stressed about that entire thing, I be blunt. No food for you, only the photographers. So they come knowing. And I tell them, you can only have food if the bride and groom okay it. But from where I stand, we're paid for a service. We're going to give that service and we go.
That includes yourself?
I don't eat at weddings. Because I was paid for service. That's why I get to the venue. If your wedding starts at 2, I'll be there at noon. I usually want to be there 1 hour or 2 hours earlier. I use the restaurant of the very place where you are. I have my meals there, then I'm sorted. The best thing I could have possibly is just to have a soda or water to keep my sugar levels balanced. But anything more than that, you can't find me eating. So what makes my craft unique is that I just don't do your wedding. I try as much as I can to become a friend. And when I become a friend, I'll tell you with all due honesty where you're good, where you're lacking, what we need to do to have a melodious and merry event. That said, my biggest catch thing is people hire me for time. Time management. I love time management so much that I've come up with modalities that don't drag time. And the biggest thing that takes time on the wedding days, it's the parent speech. So, and I've realized why parents always give long speeches. The idea is they feel it's their day to show off. And why they give those long speeches? Because the MCs never take the troubles to talk to them. Now, me, I need everyone in sync. And before the wedding starts, I tell the couple, the bride and groom, please get me one contact person. Now, that one contact person is the one to identify for me the ones you mentioned here who are going to give their speeches. The idea is to avoid the African disorganization of cheats. Kojja gundi azze mutumireko, anko gundi azze ne mwogereko, mwami chimuchibi mwogereko. No, I don't do that. So I'll show you as the wedding is starting. These are the ground rules. My name is Andrew Kyamagero and I will be your host. I'm very humbled to be here. But before we start, I want to be very clear. No one can access me and talk to me and freely as you want about today's programming. If you have any addition, any compliment, any suggestion, any advice, please run to this man here. This man will give me the information as and when you raise it. So please, let's not move so much. When you see him, you will just raise a hand or send an usher or a waitress. They'll call him and you'll tell him what you need. All these, I'm trying to avoid unnecessary movements and the disorganization of me as an MC to endorse people the bride and groom are not sure about. There could be an uncle who is a bit chaotic, or an auntie who is by far disorganized. But for some reason, he's loved by the family. Or for some reason, he's wealthy, so when he shows up, he needs to be recognized. Now, I won't recognize that person unless the contact person has told me that, by the way, you need to recognize this person. Not out of bias or something, but my job is to protect the bride and groom from any negative energy. And in so doing, I always talk to the parents not to drag and go back in the old dark linen of their kids' lives. Like, Andrew, you know, kumukuza omuntu usawo tekibadde kyangu. Twabonabona, we suffered, but we want to thank God. No, I don't. So I tell the parent, after the church, your next job is to bless these children. So don't go back in how you struggle to bring, we are in Africa, everyone struggles with something. So let's just keep it, you know, merry and all that. You've seen at some weddings where the bride and groom are crying because it's their big day and you're reminding them of how one night they slept without food. Possibly this could be one of their breaking point in life. Now you're bringing it back. So I try to avoid...
Be their most important.
You get it. So I try to avoid all those bad energies that are going to suck out the merry from the event. I talk to them, and if there are any uncles and aunties who are verbally talented, I usually talk to them. I tell them, "Koja bangambi ogenda kogera wabula nkusaba." You have only 5 to 10 minutes. I'm praying. Like, once you give these people a helicopter view, by the way, they will actually do that. So I have all these conversations to make sure that we achieve what we want to do. Key in mind, why I'm doing all this is time. When I'm emceeing, in my mind, I have a breastfeeding mother who has come to attend and possibly has to go back. I'm thinking about someone who has left someone at home who is sick but will need to travel back. I'm thinking about someone who came from far like Ginger to attend this wedding but doesn't want to spend on hotels in Kampala and possibly wants to go back. So when we start our wedding at 2, by 6, we are done. He can drive back. So I try to bring all those few modalities and synergies together to make sure that it is fast but exciting, and it's momentous. Like it's in just 4 or 5 hours the wedding is done and people can't believe that we're actually done. So why I'm unique? One, I involve the bride and the groom for 2 months. I actually engage them, but the reason why I engage them is to understand them more than to understand their service provider. But then the biggest thing is to pray with them. Weddings are the most challenging times of the entire life, I think, of mankind. If a woman is ever married by wedding, it's hard to break them. Mbwanobe, you have to do something heavily. I don't know how big, but it has to be something heavy. And the reason is simple. What they go through a month to the wedding, weeks to the wedding, it's too heavy. People are going to start to send you screenshots of your husband said this, your girlfriend did this, no, I was with her last night, what are you going... And while all this is happening, some family members are trying to, belittle you. They're telling you, Uganda was sandwich. These are the chats, they're not good. So there is a way the enemy starts to bring information, unsolicited information, by the way, that comes to the surface. And you're like, okay, what am I really getting into? But the moment you cross that bridge and you put on the ring and you say, till death does us apart. Now, tell me, what big thing are you going to do when this person is in marriage and you say, okay, now I've left the marriage? So I usually talk to my couples to pray, and I tell them the reality. A month to your wedding, every woman you've ever wanted in your life but you couldn't talk to, they're going to talk to you. They're going to love you more. If it's your wife, every other guy she has ever fantasized about, he's going to be in her face. So you need to pray for endurance. Temptations are going to be that high. And the fact is, money is going to go low. every person you'd think of for financial assistance, every deal, every project you thought that after this project I would have this. For some reason, it is going to slack. I don't know how, but money is going to be a little bit held up. But you still have to go for the D-Day and you put on your ring. So you can only go through that through praying and fasting and believing in your partner than never before. So while we are getting to the wedding date, I keep checking on my couple. How are you holding up? How is your mchala? How is mommy? How are you guys doing? Let's go for coffee. Let's go for lunch. I'm trying to show them that, by the way, there is a support structure you can plug in to make sure that you reach the climax of all this. So I become the support structure, and the wedding comes up through. So by the time I reach the wedding, we are bad days. I'm emceeing a wedding of my friends. So I think that's pretty much what makes me unique.
There's a client of mine, our client, called me after the wedding and gave you a very good review. Told me, you won't believe, the day of my wedding, Andrew had a wedding of his own in his family.
Yes,
he
yes.
was married, and then he emceed my wedding. Then also he brought up the issue of prayer.
Yes, yes.
It was new to me.
Oh dear.
Can you believe we've been praying with Andrew?
You must pray.
And it was beautiful, me listening to that. And also prior to the event, he had called me and told me how you need to meet Andrew. I'm like, huh, Andrew? Yeah, my MC. I'm like, okay, so your MC, usually it's us who are asking to meet.
Oh, the photographers, yeah.
Yeah, it's us who, I want to meet people, I want to know. So, because many times at events, there's many of you doing a lot of things.
Oh, yes.
DJ, and all of us will have one client.
Yes.
And we've clashed sometimes with DJs.
Yes.
Rich and you need sound.
Yes.
The DJ refuses.
Yes.
Rich and the MC doesn't know the Bagole's proper names.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And there's a clash. The DJ and the MC are clashing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because they didn't have the initial meeting. So that is how sensitive these initial meetings are. And
then Felix tells me, Andrew needs to see you.
Yeah.
And I see the result and I'm like, oh wow.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. So again, I commend you for that.
wow, thank you.
Good stuff.
Thank you. We thank God for that.
Andrew, you got married.
Yes, I did.
Sometime last year?
15th May, yes.
Yes.
15th May 2019.
2019.
Yes.
It was your anniversary a few months ago.
Yes. Celebrating 1 year of marriage, but celebrating 10 years with my beautiful wife, Linda. And we have 2 kids. God has blessed us with 2 kids. One is Mandela Enzo Kyamagero, and the girl is Zaza Jacqueline Kyamagero.
Zaza.
I'm Pan-African by ideology.
I follow.
Yeah.
You have been, you were a groom. You were a Mugole.
Yes.
That Mugole we were talking about.
Yes,
now.
yes.
How did it feel being on the other side and someone is running your show?
Well, this is what happened on my wedding. I got my team, and my team was composed of 3 people. One is my sister Jackie. The other one was one of her friends called Joy. And the other person was my best man, Andrew Mohanji. So this is what I did. I painted for them a picture of what I want to achieve. And for them to understand, I had to take them to the venue of my wedding. I said, this is where I'm going to get the blessings, so I need droppings coming from up. This is the picture. I need lanterns to be dropped this way. Now, these 3 people, the moment they understood that, I relaxed. I let everything run because they knew my vision. Just like the Bible says, write your vision on the wall and they'll see it and run with it. So they saw my vision, they ran with it, they executed. The problem came with my MC. Everyone I was saying, you're going to be my MC. Sobola. Please be my MC. No, si Sobola. And I kept asking them, why don't you want to be my MC? They said, man, it's like you're going to be marking me while I'm working. I'm like, no, I trust you guys. So I ended up having my mentor as well as my friend, Dr. Mitch Egwang, being my MC, and Salvador. So these were 2 guys who said, but we can do this. We know he's sensitive with time. And they knew that by 6 p.m. we are done. People are drinking and they can travel back, because my wedding was on an island, so those who could use the water transport back, they could possibly get back on the boat. So I shared my vision with my team. My team understood it and they executed it to the T.
Great.
Yeah.
Andrew, what are the things that you think a couple should be mindful of before or look out for as they hire a wedding MC?
Well, first make sure that you're hiring someone who is sober. By sober, I mean I've attended weddings where someone gets so drunk and they lose it all. As a profession, I don't drink alcohol, and I don't support or commend anyone who gets so drunk and they forget their job. So get someone who is sober. Then two, get someone who is God-fearing, regardless of the dominion they come from. They could be Muslims, they could be Adventists, Presbyterians, Christians, but get someone who is God-fearing. The fact that there is a feel of God at the center of them, so it's easy to understand what they're going to deal with. Marriage is dealt with only those people who believe and understand what marriage is from the religious perspective. Then the other thing is get people who are there to have your back, not people who are there to drain your account. I'll tell you how some lousy MCs drain your account. They'll call you, they say, Makula, mfinye client wano, but the client alinamu. So mucharging muko wagulu. Get an MC who can be reasonable and understand that you're doing this not because you have too much money, but you're doing this to officially, solidify your relationship. Someone who could understand that. But again, get someone who is respectful of your parents and your friends and colleagues. I've been at some weddings where the MCs belittle the stature of fathers and mothers and aunties, and I'm like, oof. So when you look at those bits, you're good to go. Lastly would be time. If an MC doesn't mind about time, the wedding is going to get done at 11 or past midnight. And I've seen some people working up to midnight and they're like, and they're all tired. So get someone who is mindful of time as well.
We've been to weddings and at 10, cake is not cut yet.
Wow.
Before the lockdown.
Wow.
We'd go up to midnight and be like, but guys.
Wow.
Sometimes
Wow.
weddings would be on Friday and you have a wedding the following day on Saturday. And it is the MC.
Blame it on the MC.
It's the MC. Like, yo.
I know.
Andrew, you've taken me through your flow. The flow.
Yes, yes.
Someone will boss you 2 months to the event.
Yes.
And then what happens before the event? So does the service end there? What happens after the event?
So this is what happens after the event. I usually keep in touch with these couples because I'm now their friend. And over time, some of these people have become my personal friends. Like we even talk. And the idea of all this is why I'm very sensitive when I'm doing anyone's event, especially the wedding, is this event can only be redone after 25 years or after 50 years, golden and silver jubilee. So I don't have enough time to play with that kind of sensitivity. So once the wedding is done, I'll always call the Bagole to check on them. How are you doing? At times they possibly have businesses that could be beneficial to my line of work as a journalist. At times they could possibly need my services as a journalist. So we keep the friendship going. But I keep two things in check. Whenever I call you, I'll ask you, how is Muchara? How is Mwami? I need to make sure. If they're happening to be pregnant by the time we have the weddings, when they give birth, I visit the hospital with my wife. And I'm so proud of the life that comes forth. So it's not only about the money that you're going to pay me and I do your work and I move on after, but it comes with the investment that is in there. And I'm like, this has now become family. I'm responsible for their big day. And I'm responsible for them being happy. That's why on the wedding days, I'm very arrogant to all your family members, to all your relatives and friends. I don't want to talk to them. I don't want to hear what they have to say. If it was meant to be said, it was said to me before the event started. Then I don't attend wedding meetings for my clients. The reason I don't attend wedding meetings for my clients, those wedding meetings have clashes. People feel like they need to do the wedding the way possibly theirs was done, or their auntie or their uncle. So that's why I choose to meet the bride and the groom and their contact person, someone they trust from their line of friends, that now they can share their vision with me. So when we meet on that day, me, I don't know you that you're the treasurer of the committee. I know. Me, I know my Ibagula and my contact person. You have an issue, deal with that person. Like, I'm totally off the grid. So my job is to make sure that my Ibagole, one, are happy. Two, the audience is excited and is, you know, vibrant all through. Then I make sure that the other service providers are all pulling to the center to make sure that the client shines at the end of the day. The other thing I didn't tell you about was the entourage. I talked to the entourage as well before they come in. You see, the entourage is complex. Your wife could be small and tall, and she has friends who are really very honest friends, but they're tall, voluptuous, curvaceous, they have wide hips, so when they wear all these dresses, it's more like a bottle of Coca-Cola. Now, to make sure that they don't take away the shine, I could allow them to come in first, and they have all that. But then I'll pause the music, and I will ask the people if they're indeed ready to see what they're ready for. I will ask them to prepare their celebration, their nduru, if you're going to clap so much, so that I take away whatever you've seen of the entourage is nothing coming more than that. But again, I talk to the entourage that, by the way, while you're dancing on that floor, and the Mgole is not dancing as good as you are, please don't overdance. Yeah? Wait for your wedding day. So make sure that it's her to shine. If she wants to dance, please put her to the center and cheer her up. It's her wedding day. You don't take her shine. If I see that you're trying to take her shine, I'll come talk to you. I don't care. I'll come talk to you. Then the other bit is the entourage must not have the phones. These things of we're having a speech and someone is busy on the phone, it doesn't work when I'm the MC. So I talk to them, I tell them, look, today your friends and family and business associates know that you are on this entourage. So I'm requesting of you just to take away your phone for 3 hours, just 3 hours. So we get all the phones, we give them someone we trust, the one who has the key where they have kept the changing dresses, they keep the phones there. So we enter, we are all in celebrations, we focus on the event. In the event that you've gone to change when you're coming back, you can check your phones. Whoever is calling you or whoever is texting you pretty much just wants to ask the same usual questions. How smart are you? Big end a bit here. How are you feeling? These are questions you can respond to later. So I talk to them, I tell them no phones. Two, when we are entering, make sure that she's at the center of whatever celebrations, make her shine. Once you do that, we're good to go.
All right.
Yes, so that is what I capitalize on. So I check the service providers, I check the entourage, I check the family structures, just to make sure that my Mogole is safe and sound and is happy at the end of the day.
It's quite a lot. A lot that you do.
Yeah.
What I pick from it is your job is to protect the event.
Yes.
The event and the bride, most important.
Because it's a vision she shared with you. She told you, this is what I want on my day. Because from childhood, she has been playing a bride. So this is her day. You can't tell me that someone who has been anticipating and anxious for the last 27 years and her day is here and you're going to mess up all that anticipation. It's better that you're well equipped, well prepared, professional at everything you do, and the team you're leading. You see, the MC is the leader of the entire team that day, because the photographers take a tudda kochi, the food will be asking, so should we serve food? So your entire team needs to be in sync with a bigger vision. And once they plug in, it becomes easier for you to execute. So that's what I do, and I feel that there is a generation that is coming of MCs. How I wish they could understand that MCing is not just about talking. It involves a lot of preparation mentally and prepping the entire team. So someone would confuse me for a wedding planner. No, I'm not a wedding planner. I am an MC who is at the center of everything that's happening to make this day, magnificent. And because my job mandate demands that, it's imperative that I bring in all the forces that they can plug into this power we need to achieve.
Earlier, I wanted to ask what the time is the worth of a wedding MC. But now you've literally given me everything that makes of a good MC. So my question then would be, what is the price?
Oh, the price.
For all that?
For all that, I usually charge between 3 million and above, depending on the task. The ones coming from abroad, people from abroad have a lot of issues. They will contact you, then they will send you a sister to send you the money, and then the sister will come and explain to you, there is a lot of work. Of late, we are using a lot of Zoom to talk to the bride and the groom before they come to Uganda. So it depends. So if I'm around Kampala and the suburbs, that is 3 million. If you take me out of Kampala, like to Mbarara, Ishema, Northern Uganda, Eastern Uganda, boss, we're going to stretch it a little. But it's not about the money. Money is never the center of what I do. But the value I give to the wedding is what matters. And to me, one thing that comes is to protect the bride and the groom from friends, family, colleagues, and other service providers who are chaotic. So that's my job as an MC on a wedding. So if you have a friend who is talkative and funny, and they can be MCs on your wedding, should you choose them to be your MC? It doesn't mean that because I'm an MC, I don't have friends. I have friends, and they always tell me, Andrew, you're my MC. But I have a red card for friends and family. And the reason why such people do shady work, because there is no value for money. So they're going to speak whatever they want, they're going to behave the way they want, because there is no something attached to it. However, if you have... if you've paid someone money, there must be return on investment. And that return on investment is what usually keeps them motivated to work better. There are times where they have told me, oh, you are official MC. Na ye muchachi tuinawo brother gundi. You're going to work hand in hand with brothers and so. So in such instances where you pair me with someone, possibly from your family, or from your church, or from your organization, my job is to create a rapport. So I'll have a meeting with this guy. I'm like, so, Fred, we're going to do the wedding together. So what do you know of the bride and groom? Okay, this is what I know. And you know them better from family. Who do you think is going to be a risk person to? Now, this person becomes an anchor of information for me. This, that, the other, and you get to know all that. So when we're doing the event, I can decide to split the tasks. Well, I'm going to do the cake cutting, you're going to do the first dance. I'm going to do the parents this side, you'll do the parents on that side. Like we just have a seamless flow of what we need to do and how we need to do it. So it is not entirely, I'm the only stand, all that. But if there is any other support structure that is brought to me, I'm liberal-minded to allow them in, that we can do and deliver a better job. So it's my job to make sure that they're in sync with me. And those who are a little bit timid, like, nah, so my job is to give them comfort. Like, look, we're just going to talk. Don't get worried, and you're going to do this, I'm going to... Like, we become buddies. So even when they're executing, you can't tell that maybe we got to know each other a week or two before. So that seamlessness is... I thrive on people. I thrive on making other people better than I am. So it is easier for me to, pull them closer, and we have this worked out and done.
All right.
Yeah. There is one guy who risked, by the way. He had his wedding, and the wife wanted Kyamagero, and the husband wanted Zambale Blasio Mukasa. You can imagine what kind of wedding that was. It was crazy. They kept laughing, and you know, it is that synergy of you being open-minded to allow in other people, but while you're doing that, your eye and your actions and your thoughts are to protect the bride and the groom. So if you give me an MC who is trying to show that he knows the bride more than any other person, like, that one, aye, bamuwase, bamuwase, aye. Now my job is to protect you, to talk a lot about the bride. Now I know you know too much information because you're a family member, so I'm going to become a little more sensitive when I'm talking about the bride and the groom. So what I do, I divide everything. I say I will handle the bride, the cutting of the cake, the first dance. You're going to help me handle the parents. So you don't know why I'm doing that, but I'm protecting you from embarrassing my client. So that's my job.
Oh, wow. Amazing, amazing stuff. Andrew, I really, really appreciate the conversation. I'm glad that you honored us with your presence.
Oh dear.
We had this conversation months ago,
Yeah.
during the lockdown on Instagram, and unfortunately, the Instagram wasn't allowing that conversations are recorded.
Oh yeah.
Later, and my inbox was full. People were asking me to have you back.
Oh dear, I'm here.
And I thought, no, why have you him back on Instagram? That I could just have him for YouTube.
Oh yes,
So
oh yes.
we thank you.
I'm so humbled and I'm honored. The onus is on you, the viewer, to always make those details about the MC you're going to choose. An MC who can anticipate, surprise you, and pray with you for your D-Day. But on the other side, for the MCs or the upcoming MCs, the new talents that are within the market or the emerging markets, pray a lot about your craft, fine-tune your craft, charge your craft. Well, that said, that brings us to the end of this conversation. It was an honor to share with you on a few bits of my craft, and I request of you to do just one simple thing. Subscribe to this channel and tell a friend and your other friends and relatives to subscribe to the same. But share this video to your friends and family as well. Sharing is caring. Drop your comments below that we can, respond to them as and when Makula has time to respond to them. But thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. Spread the word. Have the best MCs you can ever have. And ciao for now.